For me, I know that when I got accommodation, it changed everything for me. And so I deeply know that feeling for other people as well, which is good. When they're excited about getting their key, I understand why you're excited about getting your key. Because it was life-changing when I got mine, and it was amazing. And then they go off and flourish and do their thing, you know, it's cool to see. And when you go and visit your tenant in 3 months' time, and you see how, I don't know, they're doing something different, or their demeanour's different, they're acting differently, they're more confident, they're more comfortable, they're just in their slacks and chilled and relaxed, and it's good, it's really good to see. And you kind of enabled that, it's really good. I mean, if you're going to do a quick flip, like a quick in and out, you can do 10 or 15,000. And if you want to do something that's a little bit more renovation rather than a little light refurb, you're going to paint some walls, change the carpets, put a bit of new kitchen in maybe, change some door panels, whatever. Yeah, you're probably 10, 15 grand. You're going to clear after expenses and bills and fees and tax. But if you're doing a full-on renovation, so you're extending the house out or up, you're ripping bathrooms out into en-suites and you're putting new kitchens in and you're doing a proper job on it, then 100, 150 grand. On the drive to school, like we always went through a really nice road, like the best road in kind of the area that I lived in. And every house was like an estate, like massive detached, huge gates, you know what I mean, like properly really nice road. And again, I'd always ask questions about that, of like, how do people that buy those sorts of houses, how do you afford that? You know, sort of, so my concept around money was always quite big, like, and just having employment, I knew wasn't really where I was going to kind of go from a super early age. So yeah, that's kind of the earliest memory I've got around thinking, well, I need to be in finance in some way. I took myself to the library often, so I'd take myself down to the library, because obviously school doesn't hold books like that when you're 7 or 8 years old. They're not talking to you about finance, investing, business, property. No, you're more like, oh, learning maths and English. So I was kind of like, oh no, I want to get more into other stuff, and they just didn't have those. It wasn't until you're kind of 14, 15 and you could have your options at school that you can get into business studies and stuff. But by then, I've been reading books in libraries for so long that a business studies like diploma or something was kind of like, oh, the 4 Ps, product, people, you know, it's just so like basic for stuff that I'd kind of learned about. So yeah, I guess it started then. A lot more than what I'm experiencing here. I'd like my own bedroom. I'd like my own space. I'd like my own place to be. I'd like to buy my own things. So rather than get 1 paper round, I was doing like 3 paper rounds. Then I was bowling a lot, so I'd get a job at the Kursaal being a lane host. So I was like, home, wake up in the morning, go for 1 paper round, go back, collect my second set of papers, go to school, go to the library, come back, do an evening paper round, and then go and work at the Kursaal like as a lane host in the evenings and some of the weekends. The learning has always been like a huge constant throughout my whole kind of career, regardless whether I've been doing estate agency or property investing or whatever. I kind of always learned like 4, 5, 6 hours a day. 100-hour working week for me is like pretty standard and pretty chilled now. If I'm kind of doing it, it's still pretty much a 7-day-a-week business. Although for the first time quite recently, I've kind of changed that process and dropped a work day on a Sunday. Family things were happening at that time that were changing kind of the family, and eventually led to my parents kind of splitting up, and that had a big effect. So that was all going on around from when I was 11 until 15, when we finally kind of lost the family house and then had to move out. Went and stayed in like a hostel, like a £2 a night thing that was pretty rough. So that was basically where they'd rehabilitate like drug addicts and people that are on real hardcore stuff, that would kind of come and kick your door down quite happily and try and come in and take whatever stuff you've got. So by that time then some of my family got moved on to other housing, and I decided I'm not cool with that. Like, I'm quite happy to kind of do my own thing, and try and make something of myself at that age. So I stayed on at a hostel for a while, slept a little bit rough for a little while, and kind of just muddled my way through for some time. Yeah, that was hard. I mean, your family's broken up, your family's split. Half of them you're speaking with, half of them you're not. You're laying a lot of blame and guilt at their door for not having a house over your head, and now you're homeless and you're 15 and Christ knows what you're supposed to do, and walking up and down these beaches here with thoughts through your mind of like, what the hell now? You haven't got a pot to piss in, you don't know where you're going to be going. You're going back to a £2 a night hostel and you don't know if they're going to kick your door down tonight or if you're going to be okay sleeping. Like, it's hard. At 15, that's quite a hard thing. But like, I don't think I took it as badly as you could have done, but I just think that I kind of had a resilience from a really early age with all the stuff that was leading up to that sort of place. Yeah, you've got all these aspirations in your head, and you're going from like learning about people that are earning $1 billion in a day, and yet you can hardly afford £2 a night to stay in. It's a really weird juxtaposition to hold in your head, and that can like mess your head up quite a lot. So that was definitely my biggest struggle, actually, more than the physical side of it, more looking at what I've got, but mentally knowing that there's so much more. That was hard. Yeah, she was really good to me, and she was amazing. She helped she bridged a gap, like she let something happen. She was an allower, if you like. Something happened because she did something really good for me, which was amazing. Yeah, and that was a big saver actually, because without that, then it's like, that would have kicked your confidence down. Even when you are in that situation, if you're homeless and you haven't got anything. It's just time to be like, like, what a crazy couple of years. I can rest a bit now, it's comfortable, it's quiet. I'm working, but now I can pay some rent. It just felt like stuff was normalizing a little bit more. And then the aspirations of business started to come back really heavily again, because now I was like, okay, now that I'm kind of sorted here with feeling some sort of safety, let's kind of get back into the business mode. So yeah, then it was kind of, right, what business do I do that isn't going to take a lot of money to get going with? Because I didn't have a lot of money, like literally in the hundreds of pounds, just whatever people generally have knocking around their current accounts. So I settled on like car valeting. So I was like, this is quite low entry, like it doesn't cost a lot to set this thing up, a little bit of rent for the ground, soaps, sponges, people get paid as they're working. So went into that. Somebody that I knew, a friend of his, was doing it really successfully, so he kind of helped with a bit of input on what to get just to get started. Set that up, and then it's like, you're in business now, you're starting to earn your own money. People want their cars washed, you've got a place to wash them, they pay you £7, they wash the car, off they go, you know, and on it goes.
Car wash place.
Yeah, it's good income, busy, but it's like cash heavy. Like if it's £7 per car and you're able to get through, you know, a car in 10 minutes, 7-8 minutes, and you've got a constant stream of that coming in per hour, whereas before I'm earning maybe £5 an hour at the bank, you know, being a 16-year-old, to now earning £60 an hour is like massive. You know, you're earning like what you'd earn in a day in an hour. So that concept was completely nuts to me back then, that like, Jesus, this is crazy. Like, I could work an entire day doing something that somebody else is demanding that I do all day, and instead I'm kind of standing out here outside watching these guys do it, because I wasn't actually doing it myself, like watching these guys and earning like 10 times more. It was just a weird, and that kind of didn't, I don't want to say messed your head up, but definitely was like an inspirational moment of like, wow, money can come easy when you're kind of leveraging rather than hard working, hard grafting. Every waking hour was consumed by me thinking about this, because it wasn't just the car valeting side of it, it was, you've got staff, you've got a premises, you've got equipment, you've got people that are coming and relying on you, you've now got tax, you've got income, you've then got, where's this going? Is this going to expand into something else, or am I going to strictly make this a means to an end? Your home life is changing, your house is changing, your family situation is changing, because you're still fresh in your mindset of having nothing. You've only just come out of that, and you don't switch, and like suddenly you go from, I literally was like walking around trying to find a car parking ticket so I could get a Burger King meal for £2 off, because that's all I could afford. And you're spending your whole afternoon, and that is your goal, looking for a ticket where you can get a buy one get one free on a burger. To then that's still heavily in your mind, and you're like, I'm only one step away from being back in that. If this doesn't work, I'm back there. So the core opening hours were 12, but then you've got before and after, and because it's all cash, you're dealing with counts, recs, going to the bank, cashing it in, records, spreadsheets. So, Christ, 18, 19 hours a day, 7 days a week, and relentlessly, you know, really non-stop. Like, oh yeah, you know, on to the next thing, because I didn't want to do car valeting, like I wanted to do property and investing, so that was like just a kind of a means to an end. Managing money I was exceptional with, because every penny always mattered, not only in my family before then, but can you imagine you're walking around and you're like, any penny that you find on the floor, if you found 50p, it's like, it changes your entire day. So like down to the penny matters, and still does, even now when you're earning like tens and tens and tens and tens and tens of thousands of pounds per month, the penny still matters. And if I find one on the floor, I'm still like, oh, I want that. Do you know what I mean? Like, money still matters to the penny for me. There's 30, 40, 50 different ways that you can make money in property, and the more that you learn, obviously the more money you can make, because the more deals you can utilise. So yeah, it definitely wasn't by luck, it definitely wasn't falling into it. I absolutely went after it, and kind of really applied myself to it, and loved it. I don't think I loved it at first. It's hard. I feel like, yeah, overwhelmed and not really understanding how it was possible. I kept hearing it was possible.
Yeah.
every time you speak to an agent and you say to them, I want to offer this, they're laughing at you or like, just don't put the offer forward. You just feel like a complete tit. You know, it's like chasing something that's not even there. Yeah. It's so frustrating. But kind of persevered with it because I thought, well, there's got to be something here. There's enough people making money in property. But obviously that's just like, that was my first steps, and obviously I was only looking at one strategy, and that was what I thought existed. I just thought property was one thing, and that is what it is. And obviously now I know that's not the case. There's 30 or 40 different ways of doing stuff, but was never taught that. So yeah, massive overwhelmment, massive doubts, massive times of just being down about it and thinking I just need to be back into work and find something else to do. This clearly isn't what it's cracked up to be, and like resentment, like, oh, maybe people are just lying, you know, to get you on their courses, so that you pay them the money and they actually teach you stuff that doesn't work. Maybe I've just been had and scammed and stuff. So yeah, all that's kind of crossing your mind. Oh yeah, endlessly, day after day, year after year, literally year after year. Like, this is really hard work. Not just the odd week here or the odd week there, but relentlessly, yeah. I think I only really got over that maybe in the last couple of years, like maybe 10 years after.
It's quite recently.
Yeah, quite recently. Kind of thought to myself, actually, this isn't hard. It's actually really super straightforward. But I think that's just a culmination of experience and acumen that's kind of come together to, your brain is kind of like, okay, this is okay. I know how this works and I'm quite cool with this, you know. It's not new for your brain anymore, so you're not firing off fear and doubt and anxiety. You're firing off creativity and success and expectation. And I think when you're firing off on those cylinders, only good things are going to come. One strategy that suits you, that you enjoy doing, that is low risk for you and your circumstance, and stick with it. Because there's lots of strategies where you have to invest shitloads of money in advance, and that's not good for people that don't have money. But if you've got lots of money, you can do that. So it completely depends your strategy. You can do it with zilch, nothing. I guarantee you can do it with not even a penny in your pocket. And you can go from not a penny in your pocket to £1,000, £1,200 a month in a week.
Whatever happened with that guy? You know, that family you stayed with, remember? Did they ever carry on?
Which family? Oh, in Oxford. Yeah. They've got one deal that they do now. Yeah. So they have got a little service accommodation business. Way, yeah, which is 100% occupied. No way. Yeah, and
but that was all from when you
just stayed over there one night. Yeah. And so they're earning the equivalent of what a full-time salary would be per month, just managing a few rooms in a house.
So yeah, how did they do that? Did they buy it or?
No, they're renting it. It's the quickest way to get them involved, and they needed a quick fix. And they told me about the reasons why and everything else, so I gave them a quick fix. Yeah. You know, like 18-hour day or whatever it was, and now they come home at 1 a.m. as I was going to bed. And don't forget, I'm staying in their house as an Airbnb. So I'm not going there because they're my friends. This is my Airbnb. So I was like, I'm going to go home at 1, and go to my Airbnb at 1, and relax and sleep until like 7. I had a load of meetings the next day at new properties, and I was speaking to them until 5 a.m. Got an hour and a half sleep and got up and carried on with the day. Before we went to bed, the birds were singing outside and it was light, and that's when we went to bed.
Wow.
But off the back of that, after I finished my meetings that day, they called me and said, we've got 3 viewings lined up tomorrow. What do I do now? Like buzzing but shaking at the same time, you know? So I talked them through next step, and we got there and they closed the deal. Next question that came in, what contract do I need to get them to sign? So I'm like, oh, you guys are doing cool, you're up to the contract stage now. Gave them the contract. Yeah, that was their next question. So I was like, guys, you're like that close to doing a deal that you're sending contracts out the day after. He messages me often, we're still in good close contact. he now wants to reciprocate the favour and work on my social media marketing for free for me, which is really nice of him. That's what he does. So that's what, like, whilst he's a delivery guy, that's been his expertise, so that's what he's been learning. So yeah, really good stuff. Really good stuff. So they're obviously out now looking for their next and their next. But one of them now isn't working as a delivery driver. He manages the property.
So it is enough for them to live off now then?
Like £1,500 a month is enough to replace most people's, and that's one deal. So that's what they're managing, a house. They can do it again and again and again. So much like technical reading and learning anymore, really, as such. A lot more experiential. And actually, if I chart the growth between technical learning and growth versus experiential learning and growth, the experiential learning and growth has been phenomenally higher than technical learning and growth. Probably experiential as a ratio to academic, probably 9-1 in favour of experiential. I've learned, but in terms of hours sat learning versus hours actually going out doing, probably spent 9 times the amount actually going out and just doing, i.e. knocking on people's doors, calling the agents, speaking to the solicitors, having conversations with landlords and with tenants, starting businesses, having conversations, going to network meetings. It's fine. Failing, how do you define failing? Like, I think I see failure as possibly different to most people. Failing isn't that it didn't work the way that you thought it was going to work at all. That's not failing. Failing is it didn't work the way that you thought it was going to work, so therefore you stopped. Then you failed. As long as you carry on going, you're still journeying towards what your original goal was. It's only the second you say that I'm done, finished, I refuse to do this anymore, I've not learned anything from that experience whatsoever, I've lost this, that's failure. But even if you've learned something, like I failed a couple of estate agents before I launched a mammoth one. Was that failure? Absolutely not. It's preparation for the mammoth one. So failure is very, very rarely failure, in my opinion. I think emotional stability, I think. Time isn't really sacrificed for me, although that's probably, in some people's terms, would be the time, because it's epic amount of hours and years. But for me, emotional stability, because there's a lot of change, there's a lot of uncertainty, there's a lot of investment, there's a lot of new strategy, there's a lot of uncomfortability, there's a lot of anxiety, there's a lot of nervousness, but that's only historically. Like now I wouldn't say quite so much, but that's only because I've kind of started to self-reflect a lot more and take care of those feelings that actually typically are founded on nothing. Discipline. Keep going and 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 going. And that doesn't mean keep going at the same thing, because if it's not working, it's clearly not working. It just means don't then stop at that. Pivot, do something else quickly. Don't have time to think and doubt yourself and get all anxious about it. If you're not passionate about what you're doing, and properly passionate, not just false passion, but like you wake up and you love what you do, you want to do what you do, literally what the hell are you doing it for? If it's only for cash, there's probably other things that you can do for cash. But if it's not something that you're going to feel happy about doing, you're sacrificing everything for this thing, your own happiness for that. That's nonsense. You've got to be passionate, so much passionate that you don't always have to rave about it. You know people that like, they get into a new business and they're like fakely passionate. Oh my God, it's the best thing, it's gonna be amazing, I really love it, oh, it's amazing. Like that's fake, that's gonna really wear off quickly. But passion, where anytime you talk about it, it fires your brain up. You're happy, you're excited to talk about it, you're proud that you speak about it, you know it well. You don't have to feel like fake emotion that goes with it of like pure bliss and unbridled joy to be passionate about something. You can still really love what you do without all of that flim-flammy stuff. But it should be a core value. Do something that you're passionate about.